What is going on, Lakers Nation? The Lakers are on a two-game winning streak. One, they beat the Golden State Warriors and follow that up on a back-to-back, a second night of a back-to-back, and a dominating victory against the Sacramento Kings. What can we expect from this Lakers team in the month of March? Honestly, a very, very critical month to determine if this Lakers team can actually compete in the Western Conference. Can they slide up in the Western Conference standings? What tells more? Their 2 wins against the Warriors and the Kings, or their 3 losses that they had? I don't know. We got to see what this Lakers team has in store. Of course, DeAndre Ayton, the story just keeps on growing more and more with him. He is now getting publicly criticized through national media. What can the Lakers get in regards to their bench, the rotational unit? There is so much stuff that you can dig into when it comes to Lakers Talk Daily. But of course, I have to talk about my beautiful friends at Pechanga Resort Casino. And you can play a perfect combination at Pechanga Resort Casino, the official Native American resort and casino of the Los Angeles Lakers. Skip the traffic. Head on over to Pechanga Resort Casino just off the I-15 in Temecula. Visit pechanga.com or call 888-PECHANGA for reservations and for more information. So, I'm going to just give you guys my thoughts on these past 2 games. One against the Golden State Warriors, and once again, the second night of back-to-back against the Sacramento Kings. For one, once again, the Lakers ran into a team who was without one of their main guys, their star, I should say, in Stephen Curry. And of course, the Golden State Warriors were without Jimmy Butler, who was out for the rest of the season due to a torn ACL. So you look at that Golden State Warriors roster and what they put out there on the basketball floor against the Los Angeles Lakers. One, Brandon Podziemski, who the Warriors had a lot of trust in. Remember, they shipped Jonathan Kuminga out. And Jonathan Kuminga, by the way, is balling right now for the Atlanta Hawks. If you look at that, Moody, DeAnthony Melton, Guy Santos, and then, of course, Draymond Green is on the, I said the back end of his NBA career. Still serviceable. Remember the Lakers were rumored to try to get Draymond Green? Look how that would have turned out if the Los Angeles Lakers would have acquired him, especially at this point of the NBA season. But you look, and you expect the Lakers to just go out there and take care of business and punch them right in the mouth. They did. They did. And that's a positive sign that we've seen because Lakers, for some reason, they let teams like that hang around, stick around. It's about time they put their foot on the gas and did not look back. And it was good. LeBron James was really efficient, getting to his spots. Austin Reeves getting his numbers up, getting efficient. You saw the ball movement. You saw the player movement look a lot better in that game and leading into the Sacramento Kings game. Then you see Luka Doncic, efficient night, still trying to find a three-point ball, still trying to find a rhythm into why that shot is not knocked down at a consistent basis. Could it due to the numerous step backs that we see? Once again, it was a beautiful thing to see that the Lakers responded in the right way because they could have easily, especially after those past 3 losses that they had, they could have easily went back and been like, oof, and lay an egg against the Golden State Warriors, but they didn't. But to just to start off, as far as Steph Curry out and Jimmy Butler out, it's hard to really see where this Lakers team is at when it comes to this month of March and the second half of the NBA season. And I'm not going to discredit their win. I'm not going to take that away from them because they got a double-digit victory. Good, as they should. You should be winning games like that against the Golden State Warriors. But the only thing is that we were saying that against the Phoenix Suns. You should win that game without Devin Booker and Dylan Brooks out. What happens? They allow a guy like Colin Gillespie go off. They allow a guy like Grayson Allen to go off. They allow a guy like Royce O'Neal go off. You lose on the road against a Phoenix Suns team who was without 2 of their main guys. Same story with the Orlando Magic, correct? You go into that game. You should win when they have Franz Wagner out, when they have Jalen Suggs out. They only got Paolo Banchero, Wendell Carter Jr. But what happens? You let a team like that hang around, stick around. You blow a couple of defensive assignments. And what happens? It punches you right in the mouth. You don't make the necessary adjustments going into the final stretches of the game. Lakers lose. They've put themselves in that position. But it was good to see them take care of business against the Golden State Warriors. Then you follow that up against the Sacramento Kings. Okay. Now let me tell you something about the Sacramento Kings. A very, very, very dysfunctional NBA team. The Sacramento Kings storyline has been the same thing these past couple of seasons. I don't understand what the Sacramento Kings are doing when it comes to their franchise. But just seeing what they threw out there against the Lakers once again, I just don't understand what they have and their thought process is. And again, what the Lakers were able to do and what they should do, take care of business against a Sacramento Kings team, who are 14-48. They're one of the worst teams in the NBA. Literally, they're one of the worst teams in the NBA. And what happens? Lakers took care of business. They're getting out and running. Fast break, diving on the floor for loose balls, outletting, getting out in transition. Okay. But also switching it up, getting collective stops, keeping guys in front, getting hands in the passing lanes. Again, it's so hard to take away from these two games because of who, again, let me slow down. Because you play who's in front of you. They have no control of whether their schedule and who is their upcoming opponent. But when teams are like that and they're not good, you should be winning games like this. But there's some positives to take away from it. Why? Because we saw the Lakers play in a different style. We saw them playing in a different fashion. We saw them actually running a break. We saw them actually running sets. We saw JJ Redick making the necessary adjustments. All right? Luke Kennard, this guy needs to be implemented more into this Lakers team. He needs to be more involved in the offense. He has to be. His ability to move without the basketball. Honestly, he is a guy who I did not expect to be able to put the ball on the floor and get to the basket like that. His ability to finish with the other hand. His right hand, he had a nice one last night against the Kings. A scoop right underneath the basket. Look at that. I know he only had 11 points, but he actually got 10 shots up. I know that's due to them blowing him out. I know he's actually get more rhythm, get more shots up. Once again, he shot 3 of 5 for the three-point line. He is a very, very efficient guy. So now it's going to come down to, after these two games and seeing what you got from your guys, who can you actually trust going down in the second half of the season? Because Lakers are in the bottom of the NBA when it comes to bench production. Bench production has been a thing that the Lakers have not had at all this season. And they made that adjustment by putting Rui Hachimura in there. Rui Hachimura, again, I am very, very high on him. I think he has size. I think he has skills that, that does not get, it's not really taught, because his ability and his size to put the ball on the floor in a one dribble pull up scenario. And once again, he is shooting at a high rate when it comes to him in the 3-point line. But then you look at what he's been doing these past couple of games, it just does not look like he's in rhythm, does not look like he's in sync. And I understand he's coming off of an illness. He missed out in that Phoenix Suns game. He's battling that, trying to get his feet back underneath him. But one guy who probably is going to get more of a burn is probably Maxi Kleber. And my guy Parker Bell, he was there last night. We're going to bring him on the second half of the episode to talk about what he witnessed and what he saw with this Lakers team, because he was there in attendance. But this is just going to lead me right into this, because if DeAndre Ayton is going to continue to play like this, after getting his name publicly out there, remember, once again, I hate it. I really dislike having to keep on bringing this man's name up. But we have no choice to, because he put this on himself. Saying, I ain't no Clint Capella. He needs the crunk juice. They need to put a tape around the bottle to put crunk juice, get him motivated, get him amped up for a game before a tip-off. Okay, so you're DeAndre Ayton. You understand you had only 4 points against the Golden State Warriors, a team that does not have no true big man, a team whose big man is Draymond Green. Okay, who they sub in. The next guy is Quentin Post. If you're DeAndre Ayton and everyone is saying you have all this skill sets, which he does, he's a very, very talented offensive player. You only have 4 points. You're jogging. You don't sprint. You never run the lanes. And the only way for you to be engaged is you have to have the ball in your hands. Once again, we have to start with that narrative. You applied for and signed up for a Clint Capella role. And if you're not doing that role, then what can this Lakers team utilize you for if the ball is not in your hands? Because we say it all the time. If the Lakers have prime Clint Capella right now, this team would probably be real legit considerations as far as title contenders because he did not need the ball in his hands to be effective on the basketball court. He was a very, very solid rebounder. He was a walking double-double every single night, Clint Capella, when he was with the Houston Rockets, and that spurt when he was with the Atlanta Hawks. But now DeAndre Ayton has gotten so much media attention that guess what? Shaquille O'Neal is now taking jabs at him and saying that how he's not aggressive, he's not soft, he's not running the lanes. Which I really wish we could just take some of that film against that Golden State Warriors game and just see him as far as when the Lakers get out and run. He is basically the last one to cross half court. How is that possible? Especially if you don't get a rebound. You should be running the lanes. You were one of the biggest guys on the basketball court. That's where the frustration comes from DeAndre Ayton because he doesn't want to do the dirty work. He doesn't want to be a back to the basket guy. He wants to be soft touch, jump shot, which is fine. But once again, there's levels to it. There's Joel Embiid and then there's DeAndre Ayton. You're not a Joel Embiid. You're not at that level. Especially we're talking about Joel Embiid pre-injuries. You're not at that level. There's no disrespect. You applied and signed up for a Clint Capella job. Why not embrace that role? You're adding more fuel to the fire to your name. Now there's gonna be what? Expectations of you. All right, you don't want to have that role. You want to call out a guy like him? All right, prove it to us. Prove it to you. And he did it last night against Sacramento Kings. But once again, is that really truth telling? And is that really truth telling to this whole entire Lakers team? But they did. They bounced back. And they got 2 wins. They're back into the winning column. They're doing things the right way. They're playing the right basketball. But it worries me when they play against real talent, real championship level contenders. Because guess what? I sat and watched a whole entire game of the Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets. 2 teams in the Western Conference who what? Who are what? Legit are going to give the Lakers problems. The Timberwolves, a team who bounced the Lakers off out of the playoffs last season. All right, and they look really, really good. They got the right pieces. They got the right defenders. Anthony Edwards is playing out of his mind ever since the second half of the NBA season. And then with the Denver Nuggets, when you have Nikola Jokic, you have that's all you need to say. They put in the necessary pieces around them to be what? A very, very good team in the Western Conference. And the Lakers could somehow find their way matching up against one of those teams. And after seeing and witnessing what they did against teams that they probably shouldn't have beat, it worries me when they match up against a team like that in the Western Conference because the Timberwolves are able to play in numerous ways. They're able to get out and run, but they also have the size and ability. Rudy Gobert is probably going to give DeAndre Ayton fits. Nikola Jokic is going to give the Lakers fits. They don't have the right guys to guard certain people. The defense is going to carry. There's not going to be able to carry this team. Their offense can, but what we've seen it themselves. When their offense is in a hole and they can't dig themselves out of it, they struggle for the whole duration of a game. And that's why this month of March, when they got teams coming in, the New York Knicks, they got the Timberwolves again, they got the Detroit Pistons, we're going to really see, once again, where is this Lakers team at? And if they actually go out there and get a good win, a statement win like that against those types of teams, then we're going to have a different discussion. But for now, it's good to see them bounce back. It's good to see them back in the winning column. But once again, they got the New Orleans Pelicans tomorrow, a game that what? They should win. Not saying they're going to, but they should win. Now, with that being said, I'm going to take a little break. Got some more stuff to talk about in regards to this Lakers team and DeAndre Ayton's role as far as certain other role players. What can they get the most out of this big 3? Do they have enough to actually be legit contenders in the Western Conference? I know that's been the same conversation over and over again, but they show us something new every single night. And there could be some promise. There could be. But I just don't see them getting over the hump. Of course, I got my guy, Parker Bell. He's going to be joining us on the second half of this episode. But before we do any of that, I got to let my partners at Pechanga give you guys a quick word.
At Pechanga Resort Casino, you can rock and roll, sip and slide, twist and shout. Play your perfect combination at Pechanga Resort Casino, official Indian gaming sponsor of the Lakers.
What is going on? Welcome back to Lakers Talk Daily. The Lakers are on a 2-game win streak after defeating the Golden State Warriors and beating the Sacramento Kings on the second night of a back-to-back. Just real quick, going into the YouTube chat before I bring my guy Parker Bell on to talk about more of this Lakers second half of the season. My guy, Kyle Cruz says, DeAndre, my opinion on Ayton is he's going to have games where he has 25 points on 10 shots, but he's also gonna have games where he looks worse than Clint. He is who he is, and it's March. And to kind of get a little more feedback into that, Kyle Cruz, you're absolutely right. But when Ayton was getting those 25 and 10, it was early on in this season, correct? Where everyone was literally tweeting at me in the YouTube chat, "Oh, you're wrong about DeAndre Ayton. Oh, this is a great Lakers signing." And then it's so crazy how quick the narrative changed when it came to him, when there was real glaring spots, and of course all the media and stuff, and then it just adds more fuel to the fire. Excuse me. When that whole article comes out about him, and it's about him saying those comments about Clint Capella, and it's him saying that there are reports that he needs a water bottle taped around, he needs taped around his water bottle, and says crunk juice, dominating, getting motivated before a game. You should not have things like that to motivate you on the basketball court. I get it. And this is why I'm get my personal experience. Is that I do, and I'm not an NBA player. I mean, obviously I'm not an NBA player. But my pregame ritual was simple: get some music, understand what's ahead, understand what I'm playing for, get motivated in that way. You don't need people telling you, hey man, drink this. Get motivated. This ain't no damn Space Jam. I don't know how many times I got to emphasize that. But Kyle Cruz is always one of the loyal listeners right here on Lakers Talk Daily. But my guy, I got to bring him on because he was in attendance last night against the Sacramento Kings. My guy, Parker Bell, he got some thoughts in regards to the Lakers in the second half of the season. And if there could be enough, Parker Bell, what's going on, man?
How we doing, brother? I'm glad to be here. Thank you for bringing me on. Good show so far, but yeah, I'm happy to kind of get into what the environment was like last night, kind of my thoughts on Lakers, as well as just honestly anything you want to get into. Honestly, we're trying to brush this February, put it behind us and look forward to a March. So, I mean, man, energy last night, DeAndre, was great. I was there with our guy, of course, Tim, capturing some content, walking around, just feeling out how things will be. Because obviously, you got 2 back-to-back games where the teams are a little, how do you say it? You put it the best. Like, they're injured. There's not a lot of players. Kings, we didn't expect much. Let's just be honest. We didn't expect much in terms of content. But the Lakers did the exact opposite. They came out, and it honestly started with LeBron. The energy was infectious. I know he was questionable going into it, kind of like game time decision. We saw him warming up, and that energy was there. He was playing around with kind of some of the workout guys. He was shooting from, kind of just wherever he wanted. And I think that really trickled down to the rest of the team. And I remember hearing DeAndre about, I can't remember. I'm going to have to find the clip, who it was. It might have been on First Take, but somebody was saying, it might have been Windhorst, actually. The Lakers, if they want to win and actually try to make a run, which, of course, a lot of people are saying it's not going to happen, but if they were to try to make a run, they have to be that fun team. Look back on some of those 2020 teams. I know the roster's built differently, but what really stood out? The vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Every single moment they had a chance, they were jumping off the bench.
For sure.
Throwing things around. They were laughing. And I think that's the best thing you could do right now with this kind of squad where logistically maybe they don't work together. But if you guys get on the same mindset, and you are having some fun, you never know what could happen. And we saw
It's
them
so it's so crazy that you bring that up because remember the pictures, and we always send it in group chats and stuff like that. As far as remember Andre Drummond doing the famous, when
have it.
LeBron had it back to the basket, and you look at the vibes, like there's sometimes you just see it, and LeBron James will go up for perfect example is when Marcus Smart dove on the floor for that loose ball, and was on his back, had to kind of stand up a little bit and threw it, and then LeBron gets it, outlets it to Reeves, and Reeves did like a little scoop, but it was kind of like an alley-oop in a sense.
Yep.
LeBron comes down and like a nice little slam. And then what happens is that you look at the bench and it's like they're up, they're clapping and stuff like that. But and that's where it leads me to. It's like this team chemistry, the morale of this team. It's like you sense there's frustration amongst them. And it's hard because they're still trying to figure out what is the right rotation to throw out there when it comes to certain scenarios. And that is what's most frustrating when it comes to this point of the season. We always use that narrative that they have been injured, which is true. But it just sometimes I feel like when it comes to this team morale and it comes to where their head is really at going into the playoffs, it's like it's not there where it needs to be.
I would agree. I think what we need to see, and honestly, we're going to get into a scenario that happened over the weekend, and I have a couple players that we want to talk about, and one of them is Vanderbilt. So if you look back at like his tenure with the Lakers, obviously a lot of injuries, but if you really look closer at like the person and the player, been a great teammate throughout, consistently. Jared Vanderbilt is that guy on the bench who's going to stand up for his teammates immediately. He's always like the first in the scuffle, but he's also going to be the guy to kind of uplift the team. And that's just from being on the floor, noticing, like being at games, covering. You can see that despite not playing, despite at times playing himself off the court, he still maintains like that good mentality that can really help teammates. And what I think needs to be done, I saw the chat say, Epic Wolf say Parker need to throw out some hard takes on his way out. throw some people under the bus. Now listen, I'm not going to be throwing people under the bus. But what I will say is that there are players who maybe will be labeled as stars who I think can follow suit with that. When the stats show it, when you're a trio of LeBron, Luka, and AR, we know they don't necessarily work together stylistically. The two, Luka and Reeves, obviously we've seen the numbers. It does work out. But the thing about that is like those two, look at like Luka and Kyrie. They worked really well when they had just a bunch of athletic guys around them. We've been hammering this nonstop. So the best thing you can do, you got to just accept that that's not the roster that's around you.
Yep.
Go have fun and keep your head up, because if you're starting to get into that, hey, I'm not this kind of player, I'm not this kind of player, you're putting not only JJ, but the rest of your teammates in a tough position. So I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. That does kind of lean towards LeBron. Like, there it is. You kind of have to do what you did last night. I'm giving him credit as well as giving him, constructive criticism. He came out last night and was like, I got something in my legs. I'm feeling good. Let's bring out that mentality all the time. Not just, even if your legs aren't there that night, still have that like hype mentality. He was on the bench hyping people up yesterday, and I want that every game.
And I get it. And I understand people are like, well, he's 41 years old. What more do you... Again, when you look down at the bench and like he has his arms folded like this and he's at the very end of the bench, it's like, I want to say it's not a good sign, but well, you can command a lot out of everyone just because of your rep, just because of how you've been established in this league. Everyone is going to stop and listen to what LeBron James has to say. And it doesn't always have to be negative. It can just be more like directional, like, hey man, you should roll right here. Instead of being frustrated, throw their hands up, because we see a lot of that when it comes to the Lakers team. But to kind of throw more into this as far as like the morale and like how this team is like you look at a moment where Brian, he actually brought it. He's like, what about on Saturday when Luka wanted to slap JJ? And this is going to be a perfect segue into what we actually want to discuss, because this has just been a topic of conversation, because there has been a lot of frustration amongst this Lakers team. Is that, yeah, when Luka Doncic got subbed out, and whoever grabbed that clip is a very, very good clip. It's been honestly all over social media this morning. And you look at him walking towards the bench, and JJ Redick tries to grab his wrist, and Luka Doncic, gives him like a little, get out of my way, goes to the end of the bench, and then JJ Redick tries to talk to him. You can see there's a little bit of frustration. I don't know the exact play, which happened, what transpired and led into that, but this just goes to tell me that either Luka Doncic messed up on a certain assignment, I'm just gonna say, possibly on the defensive end of the floor, because that's where he has to get better at. And there was some miscommunication because there was times where there was a spurt where the Warriors got like 3 buckets in the paint. And I'm not saying it's solely on Luka Doncic's fault, but keeping guys in front, that is something that he's gonna have to work on if he wants to be legit taken seriously even more at this point of his career. And I'm not going to read more in between the lines because things like that happen. And I'm speaking on personal experience as far as me playing in college and stuff like that. I got into it a lot with my coaches to the point where I'm like, man, look, I give me the ball, like get out of my way and stuff like that. Like things like that happen. Like, look, it wasn't, we had a miscommunication. Like he should have rotated this way. Like I'm telling you guys right now, things like that happen. So there's no need to try to read more in between the lines and saying that Luka Doncic doesn't want JJ Redick or they don't have a good relationship. This man just bought him $1,000 jacket the other night. Like, what are we doing here, man?
Like, low-key 6K. That's a nice ass jacket. I get your point. I mean, come from somebody who was low-key a crash out, despite being known as a pretty patient person back here and lax, going with the flow. Back when I played sports, like I was a crash out, and that type of stuff happens in the heat of competition. And you can look at the context, the true context of the season and JJ and Luka's relationship and understand that that's all that was. Luka is a superstar, and superstars are going to be butting heads with everyone. That's just the nature of it. I mean, Kobe used to be literally throwing elbows at his own teammates, even his favorite teammates like Sasha. Like he would legit beat them up and give them bruises at practice. Luka, similar, he's going to be in the heat, like a heated moment. But I think what we wanted to touch on that situation is like, where do you go from there in those moments? How does the rest of the team react? You can kind of see from that clip. I know we can't really play it just right now, but if you guys get a chance, just go on Twitter and look up Luka JJ. It'll pop up. You can see a lot of the bench kind of get shocked and like, oh, I don't know how to handle this. Maybe they don't know fully that like JJ was Luka's vet. They're going to go after each other, just like DeAndre, how you and I went after each other in those men's leagues. Man, sure, we used to borderline fight sometimes.
Yeah, we did.
The thing is, you got to have a teammate or a leader on that bench kind of step up and just go like, oh no, everyone, like it's chill. This is what we want. We want competitiveness. And you notice in that clip, it almost was Vanderbilt. He got up like 1,000 level IQ play, did a little dance to defuse the nuclear bomb that was Luka in that moment. And that's all I want to see out of this Lakers team is like, just support each other, not only in like the tough times, but also in the heated times. And I haven't seen that obviously in the first half of the season, we haven't seen that. There were too many injuries. Everybody was just kind of chilling on the bench. When you're getting towards the end of the second half of the season, start doing things like that. Start diving on the floor like Marcus Smart. I mean, I saw in the chat, yeah. Do they have a candidate of a heart and soul guy? As Cappy would say, a heart and soul guy?
We're in agreement it's Marcus Smart, right?
As everyone
far as heart and soul.
I would agree, and everybody would probably say that was the ideal role going into it. I think it just took longer for him to really get prepped. I mean, think about it, man. He's had like 3 seasons he's barely played.
Yeah.
So it took him almost a full season to get acclimated. And now you're looking at him, and when he's in the starting lineup, they look like they're playing better. So sure, maybe this does lean towards like heart and soul type bleep to make this Lakers team a little better. But moments like that, I think you can't read too much into. I agree with you. This is a team that really just needs to meld together because what else option do you have? There's no, you're not buying out anybody. You're not grabbing anybody at this point.
No, I hear you.
Just go win.
By the way, Epic Wolf in the YouTube chat says, so damn, D-Hawk was a diva? Nah, man, I was far from a diva. I'm telling you guys right now, I was far from it. I'm very, very competitive. I'm competitive to this day when I go out there and hoop. But not to the point where I'm like throwing my hands up, pointing the blames on a lot of other people. I hold myself accountable. And like Parker, for a great example, we might as well tell the story as far as in our men's league. And I get 2 totally different levels of basketball we're talking about here.
There's levels to this.
There's levels to it. But if we want to have a fun little story to kind of end this show off, as far as look, there is a moment where
I'm not even sure where you're going with this. So I'm excited.
No, there was a moment where I think we were playing in Tustin. I think that's where the league was at. It's either in Tustin or definitely in IVC, Irvine
At
Valley
OC.
College. And there was a moment where there was a missed defensive assignment, and Parker ended up. I wouldn't say they got blown by. I think someone like made a cut and like you didn't rotate properly. I'm like, hey bro, like that can't happen. Like, and I
Yep.
literally we were like,
You got in my face.
we were damn near like this. I'm like, bro, that can't happen, man. Like you got to be able to be in this spot. And you're like, yeah, you're right. And literally a couple plays later, and this is where like reality, I'm like, oh damn, like he is actually able to come back at me. Is where I ended up messing up on a defensive assignment. I didn't give much effort, and Parker was all like, hey yo, that was some BS you did right there. Like if you're gonna call me out, like you got to hold yourself too. And I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
So like that's the type of stuff we talk about. Is that it's too much. It's his fault. His fault. Throwing the hands up on his Lakers team. Instead of someone taking the control, taking the reins, like, look, man, let's go, bring it together. We've seen a picture of them all separated on the bench. Once again, we know that they possibly could have huddled back up when JJ Redick got actually into the huddle. But that's the thing. And I'm not saying this is all about more passion and more energy, which energy and effort does have to do with a lot with his Lakers team because they can't withstand that for the full 48 minutes. Then that's the thing that's going to worry me when it comes into the second half of the season.
Yeah, and I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the chat. Marcus Smart playing like a Celtic lately. Better not give Marcus Smart up. He's fighting for everything. That's from Rachel V247. Yeah, there comes a time in the season when, like I said, when you got no other option, the best thing you can do is just grit and grind. Mm-hmm. And listen, if the Lakers can make their way into, we're playing hypotheticals here, but if they can make their way into a 5 spot, kind of hover around there in the middle, get a good matchup, you could see a Western Conference run. We're not trying to play the optimism here, the optimistic 7-10. We're just being real. Like, that's how basketball works. If ball knowers, right matchups, and you play hard, it can happen. You got Luka, and Luka took the Mavericks to the finals. And granted, his defense was a glaring issue, but still, he took them there. And at this point, anything's possible. As the former Celtic would say.
Oh, hell no. We're not going to end off with former Celtic. But just real quick, I just say, you got to remember who that Dallas Mavericks team was. That's the only thing. The Lakers don't have those same types of pieces and those same types of guys.
Role, DeAndre, and I'm not talking Hawkins. Buy into your role.
You're trying to play that optimistic Laker. I'm gonna be realistic and say I don't think they have enough to actually make a real playoff push. I'm just gonna say it right there. But for you guys, my guy Parker Bell. By the way, his last day is coming up real short here with us at ESPN Los Angeles. I'm very, 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 very grateful to be working alongside with him. But for you guys in the YouTube chat and for myself, we're gonna call it on this Lakers Talk Daily episode 1. It's been a good one. You guys again were very, very active. And no, I was not no metal world peace. I wasn't out there doing this and giving James Harden the elbow. I was not doing all that, but I did have some fieriness in myself. But for you guys, very, very grateful for you guys. Lakers are taking on the New Orleans Pelicans tomorrow. I'll be talking to you guys tomorrow, but we are out.